Hello and welcome back to the College Rugby Show. We're going to be coming to you every other week starting now.
The tactics that they used in that last game, they really have a lot of rugby intelligence on their side.
The crown jewel of college rugby, if you ask me. We just made a ton of picks. If you take them to the bank, they will deny you service because they are worth nothing. Chad Rickman is a two-time MVP. 3 in a row. You tired of it yet?
We can never get tired.
That's what you love about college rugby. Welcome back to the College Rugby Show. It's March. I'm Pat. That's Zach. That's Darian. 7 seasons. Let's dive right in, guys. Starting with everyone's favorite trivia. It's going to be like a little Newlyweds Game type here. Let's see how well you guys know each other. Zach, or no, let's start with Darian. Darian,
Okay.
this has been referenced on the show. If you're paying attention, you should know it. Where did Zach play high school rugby?
Somewhere in Maine.
That's incorrect. Okay, that's not an official answer. Somewhere in Maine would not have been accepted even if it was right. So, if you had to think, like, do you know your books of the gospel?
Oh, bless. I should probably know a lot more about them.
I'm going to guess with an A on this one. That's as much time as we can devote to Darian. 0% chance of getting it. I was going to ask. I was gonna, because I'm rocking my Headliners jersey, and I was going to ask Zach what PR7's team did Darian play for until she revealed it 8 seconds ago in the field. So that's not the question. The question it says, Zach, is what school did Darian transfer from to get to Life University?
Wow. I don't think I've had a conversation with Darian off air, so this is really hard for me. So, I'm going to say Our Lady Queen of Victory, Mount Carmel. No, I don't know. Pass.
Correct. It would be American International College, ASE.
I know that.
Yes. I also knew what high school it was that you went
St. Peter's
to.
Prep, New Jersey.
Yeah. That one, right next to me.
Out of Kansas City.
There you go.
I remember now.
So it turns out these newlyweds don't know each other well enough.
That's it.
I'm be mad about that.
We're done.
All right, since you guys, it's still a tie, here's the tiebreaker. What Heisman Trophy winner is the men's CRC Premier Cup Championship named after? Won the Heisman in 1958. The overhead line-out pass is attributed to this American.
Marina?
Former quarterback at Army West Point.
This trophy a year
He
ago.
presented it live in person in the early CRC years. Pete Dawkins, guys. Pete Dawkins.
No, I did it.
And Pat wins his own trivia game, and everyone else loses. But pretty cool, though. Pete Dawkins, I wrote about this a little bit in College Rugby Illustrated. Your guys' readership retention is pretty bad. But he was Heisman Trophy winner at Army in 1958. Then he goes on a Rhodes Scholarship to Oxford, picks up rugby. He's like, they used to throw line-out passes underhand. Then he's like, I'm a quarterback. Let's do it this way. They called it the Yankee Torpedo Pass. Still doing it that way. So thanks for indulging my trivia for maybe the last week ever, because
We're not good at this at all.
if nobody ever knows any answers. Though I will never regret the mascot charades. I'll never regret
We're
that.
still working through the
I was
box.
going to say, yeah.
Still working
All
through
right.
the box.
Let's dive into the teams that have qualified. Let's go through those. Last week, we had a number that punched their ticket. Let's start Men's Premier Cup. Kutztown won monumental sevens. This was a huge one. Kutztown 3 years in a row. The Golden Bears, obviously one of the blue bloods in CRC history. They're champions from just a couple of years ago in New Orleans, and they won their semifinals and finals over just a conversion each time. Zach, tell us about Kutztown's run here in Quincy.
Yeah, no, they obviously, the Golden Bears love themselves some Quincy Mass. They have crushed it at Monumental Sevens. They won the inaugural tournament the same year they went on to win the national championship at CRCs. And they came back this year. They were, they brought it once again. They had a pretty tough pool. I mean, you knew they were going to play either Brown or St. Bonaventure or both in the way that the tournament was set up. And they were able to get by both those squads to ultimately, come away with the qualification here, punch their ticket. Jacob Staludi has looked really good for them so far this season. Benedict Quinn, Tinatenda Chinyanza as well have been stellar for the Golden Bears, and they always bring it. They're always physical, they're athletic, and they play hard. And this time, I think the edge, when I was making my picks, St. Bonaventure, the edge is off a little bit because they've already qualified. So no matter how hard they want to play, that's always probably in the back of their minds. And Brown just hadn't played any rugby this year, in the spring. They had that crazy snowstorm. They've been cooped up for a while in their nice new indoor training facility. But still, if you're not, the Bullets aren't flying live. Kutztown's had plenty of that so far this spring. I think that made the difference, when you get down to brass tacks. But they look really good this year, I think. And, they're making up for kind of a disappointing 15 season in their eyes potentially, but they're always great at sevens. I think they're going to be a contender at the end.
Yeah, great competition there in Quincy. It was fantastic. And Kutztown, that says a lot. That's some really quality wins there midway through the season. Let's move on to Women's Division I club. We had Arizona State dominant in Fool's Gold Sevens in Boise, Idaho. Darian, the Sun Devils punching their ticket, and they look really good doing it.
Yeah, Arizona State made all three of us look bad because we all did not pick them, and they absolutely dominated. Defense was really what won it for them. I mean, across the board, 4 games in the day, and only 2 tries were scored again. So the defense really was the bread and butter for Arizona State. And the saying goes always that defense wins championships. So that alone to me was really a statement when they came out that way.
Well, Women's Division II, this is one I think we all got right, was Arkansas winning their home tournament, Natural State Sevens, to qualify yet again in Women's D2. The Razorbacks lost an early pool game to Oklahoma, but came back and avenged that in the final, shutting out the Sooners 26-0. Darian, big win there for Arkansas.
To me, they were the obvious contender coming out there, but it does show that there's a lot of growth growing in the United States, and that was fun to watch, but Arkansas was kind of the no-brainer going into the weekend.
Yeah, we did. The one we actually all got right, that means that it might be obvious.
You know like you, Arkansas. Arizona, not so much, but Arkansas we like.
OU, though, looking pretty strong. Maybe if they get another result, they could be an at-large contender there in Women's D2. Moving over to Men's Division II, Miami, Ohio, the Red Hawks. No one picked them. No one talked about them. What a bunch of idiots we are. They go to Cowboy Sevens in Pittsburgh, PA, and have a fantastic weekend. 6-0 in a 17 round robin, Zach.
Yeah, unbelievable result. Their basketball team is not the only team that's going to be dancing now in the spring. I've been waiting to use that line since Sunday. They got to be pretty excited. They earned it. I mean, that was not an easy field of teams to get through, and I think they were 5th in my potential winners when I was trying to plan this thing out. But they went through a murderer's row. They beat huge conference rival Grand Valley State, who already qualified in the past, but still those rivalry games always carry some extra bad blood, so I'm sure the Lakers weren't sitting that one on the sideline. They went through Drexel. They beat them 17-10, who I like as kind of a dark horse this spring. Then they beat Salisbury and IUP, kind of, the gold standard in Division II, the Crimson Hawks there. They beat them 26-19, so well-deserved tournament win for them. Bart Glancy, the man of the tournament for Miami, Ohio, and they're going to be dangerous in Maryland. They got a great squad.
Mm-hmm. 6 games in a day should be a war crime in sevens, let alone making every team do it. That is insanity. I imagine it was like 5-on-3 in the last game. I don't know. But Miami deserve a lot of credit for that. And that was a gauntlet of competition. I mean, GVSU had already qualified, and you knocked them down. Miami looks like a real contender, kind of out of nowhere a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think they were in last field for 2020. So they're an relative unknown in the Division II Sevens level, at least for now. But they got some good athletes.
Also at Cowboy Sevens in Pittsburgh, there was Men's Division III, and this one, another team went undefeated. In this one, it was Slippery Rock, just unbelievably dominant in a way that I don't think I've ever seen a team be in a sevens tournament, Zach.
I mean, Pat, this was unbelievable. Slippery Rock did not surrender a single point on the weekend. They outscored their opponents 261-0. It was just an incredible performance by Rock Rugby, who are coming into the spring season with a huge chip on their shoulder. I think they felt like they rightfully were the 15s champions as well. They had a tough game against Conference foe and Franciscan, but they are not messing around here now. That was not a crazy dominant field, but there were some really good teams there. Another conference rival in John Carroll, who looked really good. They looked better than I thought. They plowed through Susquehanna, who was playing really good sevens in that tournament as well. A good mark conference team always. So Alfred under Dale Russell were improved, and Slippery Rock, bested them as well. So I was pretty impressed with them coming out the side of things, and they're a force to be reckoned with for sure. And they made a statement in this one.
I was already excited for Slippery Rock to hopefully make it. I mean, they really I grew such a soft spot for them after we did that interview and they talked about their roots and why they play. But now knowing that, I mean, they really only are coming there to lay the wood continuously and really put people in the dirt just adds ante to Slippery Rock. I mean, out of all of the teams, I feel like I'm most excited that they were able to punch their ticket.
I mean, I'm just imagining that Michael Jordan, The Last Dance meme where it's and I took that personal, and that's that is their entire season mentality for Slippery Rock, feeling pissed off about some penalties on that 15s championship and losing in the semis last year, right? These guys won the sevens natty a couple of years ago. I think Slippery Rock is proud and ready to get back. And then in women's Division III, we had Mira Costa College for the second straight year. They won the Northwest Sevens up in Monmouth, beaten Western Oregon twice in that contest, as well as Willamette to go perfect 3-0 on the day. Mira Costa punched their ticket in Women's Division III. No surprise, Zach. I think you picked this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they've looked pretty good. I mean, it was a bit of a hike for them to get up to Monmouth. I think I wrote it was a crazy amount of miles for them to travel from their home in Southern California and Oceanside, California. But they made the trip. They looked fresh when they got out there. Lucy Powell, a hard hitter, setting the tone on defense for Mira Costa. And they look like they're going to be a team to beat. Smaller field up there as well. But Western Oregon is always dangerous. They qualified last year as well, so they are not. It was not a pushover tournament by any stretch. But Mira Costa coming out looking real sharp.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that's who's in this week, right? We had 6 teams qualify over the weekend. Plenty more to come as we have to get to 144 across the board. 16 teams in every division except for Men's Premier Cup with 32. 144 teams. We're going to get there like we always do. The Collegiate Rugby Championship, National Sevens, Maryland Soccerplex, April 24th to the 26th. We are going to come right back. And when we do, there's no official rankings in sevens, but it's about time we chime in with some of our own. So we shall do that when we come right back.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, sevens rankings. Maybe someday we will get these out every single week. But, it's about midway through the seventh season. We've got some teams qualified. I thought it would be fun if each of us just took 2 divisions and then put our own personal top 5 power rankings, stack ranked them, put them out here, and then we poked and prodded them and pressure tested them. So we're going to do just that. And Darian, you're up first. Women's Division I club. As I said, we took 2, so there's going to be a couple divisions don't get covered here. Women's Premier Cup, Men's Division I club. Sorry about you. We'll get you more content later. But starting with Women's D1 Club, who's your top 5, Darian?
My top 5. I'm going to start strong. Should we start with number 1 or number 5?
I like let's go 5-1.
5-1, starting up first, is one that totally shocked us whenever they were able to qualify, and that is the James Madison University Dukes. From the jump from the Bison Brawl, we really saw them open up alongside players like Kyle Lyons and Violet Powell. Some would call her maybe Violent Violet. I don't know. That's rumor on the street. But to me, James Madison, it looks like a serious contender, very much the unknown one, and might be the dark horse that really jumps us off. I don't know. I really like them in the Bison Brawl. And then number 4, we're going to go to UNI, the University of Northern Iowa. It's all about the climb for them. They were a fan favorite down at 15s Nationals for stepping up, and they're going to do it again at 7s Nationals. Led by the forefront is by Link, such a connective piece in that UNI side, and the one that's always able to put people in the coffin, put them in the dirt quickly. That's Graves. Such a serious defender is, no BS, very much down to the tooth and nail. Both of them together, I think, complement each other so well, and they've got so much talent across the board that really kind of puts them at the forefront, and they're going to be a really fun side to watch as well. And number 3 might be an unpopular opinion, but I'm going to go ahead and say that Notre Dame kind of takes that 3rd spot for me. Blocker and Henderson, we talk about them every single time we get the chance to. Both are all-stars. Both are very much the players that get the energy going. They know how to build pressure. They know how to apply it. And they just have tanks that don't stop. Number 2 for me is going to be Iowa, led by Coach O'Neill there. Though they did lose some starters, they have a bench that O'Neill's really taken a lot of pride in to build up there. The excitement that she has going into the 7th season, though they have struggled a little bit, I think that they've continuously had the tenacity. And when it comes time to show up on the day, I think that Iowa always does it. They bring the energy and they bring the pressure. And it would be a slight to say that they might not end up in the final. I think that they're easily going to get themselves there. And the number one pick for me, you know who they are, the CRC champs. They're coming back for another one, and that's got to be Northeastern. Now, Keith Katnack did pass the reins over to assistant coach Marge Reese. She's going to be the one to step up and lead this Husky side, and I think she's got enough personnel to do it with. Russo and B-Shot Dunner both will be making appearances back, and they're the players that you hear the most about. But one of my favorites is Bramwell, always there to make sure that her players are all on the same page, really bringing that gusto that we see for the Huskies. To me, I really think that throughout their season, they've shown that they're easily going to be the ones at the top of the podium. This is all subject to change, but those would probably have to be my top 5.
So I love this. I do think that Mia Blocker is arguably the best player in the country in sevens, and I think you saw her hunger at down in Atlanta at All-Stars. After maybe being slighted for the Player of the Year candidacy, she led everybody in tries. So I thought she was really fantastic down there, and I think you and I is stacked as well. I think Link is outrageously good. We have to look at the top 5 players to make the Eagles out of the women's Division I club category. I think Mia Blocker and I think Macy Grays and Morgan Link. And those are right there at number 3 and 4. So a really strong top 5 in my opinion, Darian.
Yeah, and Darren, I love your pick of JMU. The Dukes are great. I think wild card at number 5. I might quibble a little bit with where you have UNI in this ranking. I think they're a little bit low, seeing as they have done nothing except beat kind of Premier Cup teams, especially Cavalier Sevens this last weekend. They're only lost to Wheeling, but they beat Michigan State. They beat Aquinas. They beat Adrian. They look really good. I think they've proven they can hang with any team in the country. I think they're going to show that when it comes down to the tournament time.
I'm going to agree with you. I had them at number 4 because, how are you going to go against Notre Dame and Northeastern and Iowa? But, to say that UNI doesn't have the full capability to go ahead and tip the tables or turn them, however the saying works, they've got the gusto to do it. It's just going to be a matter of if the rest of the teams are going to be on for the day.
And I know who's going to be mad they're not in this list and feel slighted, and that's Arizona State. But, can't make everybody happy.
We can't. Zach doesn't even like Arizona, apparently.
Yeah, that's personal. That was personal, Arizona State. That's why you're not
like a bad sunburn there, or what?
No, they ruined my trivia chances because I guessed Arizona for the CRC champs, and then now I picked them wrong in my Boise State pool. I'm very easy to upset.
It's nothing to do with you.
Very fancy. Women's Division II, Darian, give us your top 5.
All right, coming in at number 5, I'm going to go with Eau Claire, and one of the biggest reasons I'm going to go with it is because of the transfer. Scout Spadoni, coming in from Frostburg University, just a try-scoring machine, and she knows how to finish there at the line continuously. Going to be a big move for Eau Claire to be able to gain such an amazing player. Roger Williams coming in at number 4, though they were the runners-up last year. I just think that they've kind of struggled to be able to build exponentially. Danielle Voigt, though, has consistently been there to help propel the side forward. I think that Roger Williams easily is still going to be a contender, but I'm not sure if they've got the arsenal to be able to get there on the podium. Towson University, led by Kelly Greenleaf, really made a difference, not just at the NCR All-Stars, but also whenever we took a side over and played league. She showed her handling, showed what it means to play on the side for Towson University, and I just think she's going to be such a difference maker whenever it comes to the work rate that Towson University demonstrates. Number 2 is going to be Coastal Carolina. Kariah Scott is going to be the one to get them going. I think somebody might have told me that she scored 1,000 tries. We're still getting word of that, but stay tuned. Just an absolute beast, and she's got more than enough people to surround her to get her over the try zone. Coastal Carolina constantly bands together, and their connectivity is something that's going to be extremely lethal for them going into the CRCs. And number 1, led by Coach Price, is the Coast Guard. You know exactly who's on that side. One of my favorite players. It's going to be Kate Boggs, the D2 player of the year. Just the heavens open up when Boggs gets the ball. But another player who's going to be back, Mick Brayer, coming back from the injury. A little bit underrated there, but you've got to talk about her whenever you talk about the greatest players on Coast Guard. Be on the lookout. And to me, it looks like they're right on the warpath to being the number 1 and to be the national champion for D2.
Two-time All-Naira selection, Scout Spadoni from Frostburg State. I think she's going to make a massive impact here in women's D2. Zach, why don't you pick it up going into women's Division III and tell us your top 5 there.
Absolutely. Haven't seen a lot from Division 3 teams yet. Not too much action, especially a lot of the talented teams in Women's Division 3 are Northeastern teams where they're still thawing out from a winter weather. But we'll start here at number 5. Maybe regret having them this low when we come to the end of the season here, but I have Siena, who looked very good in the fall. Gabriela Jimenez, Olivia McQuay, the beast out on the wing, Tallulah Powers. All of them will be great for Siena there, the Saints, when they come up against any conference foes there, anybody in the tournament. Number 4 for me, Mira Costa. We just saw them look good out west. I think they got the talent, the horsepower to make some noise. Number 3, Drury, another early qualifier as well. They looked good against a bunch of solid teams from the Midwest, so I think they're going to be a threat. Lauren Tomlinson is definitely a force to be reckoned with there. Number 2 team I have here, Colorado School of Mines. We know them. We love them. They're great. Primetime, Piper Lee looking good. Aaliyah Lynn, so many other dangerous players on that team. They were unlucky to see, I think, Endicott last year in the semifinals of that bracket. But as we talked about them, they are here, my number 1 team, the Endicott Gulls. They always deliver. Carly Baker, they look great. They got some dangerous players on the outside. All of them can run. Larissa Landmesser, a bunch of other athletes. So I think they go and repeat again this year as champs.
Look, I'm going to take a little bit of issue with that. I think Endicott last year, they had arguably the best player in Tess Merrill, and I think she probably was. Obviously, one of the most decorated women's players of all time in college rugby. Like, you can only win so many awards. She won, like, almost all of them that she could possibly have won. But I think the better player this year is Piper Lee. I think she's the best player in this division, and I think she is just really maturing and growing into herself, and I think she might just absolutely run away and dominate this year. So for that reason, I think you might have Endicott slightly overrated without Tess, and the Mine slightly underrated with Piper.
I just know, Pat, that I saw that was a great battle. Piper Lee is obviously great, but who was going back and forth with her in that championship in the fall? It was Colleen Mitchell, okay, who on Endicott looked great, try for try almost with Piper Lee in that contest. And they have other great players, Marin Schaefer. I already mentioned Landmesser. So many solid players in Endicott. I just think the depth is going to make the difference for them.
Yeah, I like Piper Lee's. I like her in that matchup with Colleen Mitchell all day. She's about twice as tall as her, and her arms are about twice as long as Colleen. So
Mitchell got hers in the fall, so that's all I gotta say. She could stop for then. We'll see what they do in the spring.
I will run us through your men's D3, Mr. D3 expert Zach Lanning.
Yeah, this one another tough one, only because there are so many good teams. I had trouble picking my number 1. I think that was the hardest choice for me. But we'll start at the bottom here. Not as much action as well, just really Southern teams and some Midwest teams and West Coast teams. But coming in at number 5 for me, Susquehanna looked really good this weekend. Cowboy 7s in the D3 qualifier. They have some young guys, Aaron Kavanaugh, one of them, who have created some magic for them so far in the fall, and I think they're bringing that into the spring. VMI, the Keydets, also look good. They're always fit. They're always strong. They have played a couple tournaments already in the South, and you're looking for their qualifying moment and not into the dance yet, but they'll get there eventually. And then these were the 3 teams that I had really trouble putting in any particular order. But we're going to start here with number 3, and it's the Richmond Spiders. They have looked really strong so far throughout a bunch of qualifying tournaments in the South. They've punched their ticket already. And under Patrick Benner, the coach of the month for February, I think they are going to be, a bit of a sleeper. Not many people are talking about them so far this season. And then the number 2 and number 1 spots are pretty much interchangeable for me at this point. But I went with Slippery Rock at number 2, which might surprise you a little bit here after that dominant performance at Cowboy 7s as well. But the difference for me between them and number 1 Denver is that I have seen Denver do it now multiple times against Division 2 competition. Okay, so Slippery Rock beat up on a bunch of teams that are in Division 3. Most of them won't even qualify from Cowboy 7s for the national championship. I've seen Denver do it against a bunch of teams that have been deep in D2 7s competition, and they looked unstoppable. So for me, that's the difference right now. Denver at number 1.
Look, Denver beat Montana State, which is, obviously a great division. I think they finished second last year in D2 to UNC Wilmington. So, that looks like a huge win. I hear what you're saying. But Slippery Rock, I don't know if you heard, they gave up 0 points and scored 211 in a whole tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Darian.
No, I'm just saying, come on now. Goose eggs everywhere. You get a goose egg, you get a goose egg, you get a goose egg. It was like they were throwing rocks, in the shape of zeros every game. I hear what you're saying about the competition, but we do have to see what teams you're talking about. I don't know. I'm defending Slippery Rock because I just think that there's something really special about them.
I don't want to get on Slippery Rock's bad side here. I think they're going to be there at the end. Okay, I maybe be a Denver Slippery Rock final, but you're talking about Millersville. You're talking about Curry College. You're talking about Duquesne. You're talking about Cedarville. You're talking about, Taylor, you're talking, and then James, I would say John Carroll is probably the best school that they beat on that 6-0 run. But none of those other names are teams that are there at the end of the season in the spring. So
Millersville had a guy on The Voice about 10 years ago. And he went pretty deep. So you
I stand corrected.
What you say? Watch
Look,
it.
you're going to piss off more than just Slippery Rock here. Last year's national champions, Ern Kalschmitz and Luke Pugh. Are you kidding me?
You're absolutely right. Maybe a glare.
Eau Claire, nowhere near your list.
That's honestly the crime here, if we really need to be honest about that.
I haven't seen him play. I haven't seen a single 2026. What have you done for me lately? Put something on tape for me to watch, and I'll put you in my top 5. But I have not seen. Yeah.
All right, well, shred my men's Premier Cup list. Shred my men's Premier Cup list next. We'll start with number 5. I've got Indiana. Windiana. They did a great job finishing. It was second down in Sunshine Sevens, and they won Yellow Rose. Sent a weaker side to the Queen's Cup and didn't do quite as well. I still think that they're a contender, but probably on that dark horse edge. Number 4 for me, St. Bonaventure. They did better 2 weeks ago when they qualified than they did last week at Monumental Sevens, and last week at Monumental Sevens they had arguably a better roster with Manu Taula, the Prusmack Award winner, being on the roster. Yet the Bonnies still knocked out of the semifinals, albeit by just a conversion there to Kutztown. So still good, but not quite as consistent as they need to be. As your roster gets better, I would expect your results to. Kutztown, they qualified last weekend. A great win for them. 2 big wins in the semifinal and the final. And I think that they are, that's probably the toughest qualifier so far was Monumental Sevens, and they won it. So I think that they've got to be rewarded. And then this is where it gets a little controversial. Belmont Abbey at number 2. Arguably should be number 1. They're the only team to beat Wheeling. They beat Wheeling at the Queen's Cup, a massive non-qualifier tournament, and Wheeling is, the back-to-back champions. But I just think that that's got to be a blip. That's the aberration, and I'm going to give Wheeling still the number 1 spot because I think the Cardinals are just too dang talented, and it may be them figuring out how to share that ball with all that talent. But that's my top 5. What do you think?
I like the Bonnies, and I feel like they should be hiked up a little bit more with Kutztown. Not to discredit Kutztown's performance last year, but when it came time to pressure, and this is just me going off of last year, Kutztown really crumbled. I mean, we saw them really commit a lot of penalties when it came times to knockout rounds. We saw them kind of falter a little bit, and you've just got to keep your fingers crossed that they're going to come with a different mindset going into it. I don't know. I just think that the Bonnies, when we watched them play, and just based off of their track record, all across the board, they're pretty cool, calm, and collected. So for me, I would see the Bonnies kind of beating out more teams and being able to withstand the pressure rather than the Kutztown Golden Bears.
Yeah, Pat, Premier Cup, I think, is tough. I'm looking at this list, and I like Wheeling at number 1. I think we'll see Ruck the Rock this weekend, which is actual qualification on the line. Them take a step further. I think they've had a couple tune-up tournaments to get to this point. And I like Belmont Abbey. I think their dark horse probably could be good. They were in the semis last year. Harrison Tuisila is fantastic for them. But looking at these bottom 3 here, Kutztown really good. The Bonnies really good. Indiana pretty good. But you left off Brown and Notre Dame, who is going to kill us again now because we didn't pick them in Sunshine Sevens, and now you've completely left them out of your top 5 for the Premier Cup.
This is Pat's. Yeah.
You've done this to us, Pat, now with Notre Dame. But, I mean, Brown not even making the list. They beat the Bonnies pretty badly at Monumental Sevens last week, and I might swap those 2 out. But how could you leave Bonnies off that top 5? That's tough.
I'm done. I'm done with Brown. I pick you to do great every year, and then you get to April in Maryland, and you disappear. So I talk about Tito Ajua. I used to talk about Raph Lonseigneur. I'm just done. You got to do it in April when it counts, or I'm done picking you. So that's where I'm at with Brown. But
and Notre Dame, just let the record show that this was Pat's idea. I know that I didn't come for it, but as soon as Zach showed up, all of a sudden, the Fighting Irish started raining down. I feel like that was a crime not putting them in there.
Look, they have an argument to be made, but that was the first ever qualifier they've won in program history. So let's not pretend like they're used to being early in. They're almost always an at-large bid. Great performance. I love the 4 Irishmen of Notre Dame, but we'll see. Okay, we'll see. All right, moving on to men's Division 2. All right, let's see how bad you shred me here. Number 5, Montana State. Number 4, Colorado Mesa. I think they're pretty good. The Mavericks went really far last year and have done pretty good in qualifiers already. Coastal Carolina, they have already automatically qualified. They look fantastic. They're one of the reasons UNC Wilmington hasn't qualified, the defending champions. Grand Valley State, they're also in. The Lakers are in, but they lost to Miami, the Red Hawks, last weekend. So that's why I have Miami as the number 1 team in men's Division 2.
Miami coming out of absolute nowhere, skyrocketing to the top of the men's Division II rankings, man. I think is pretty impressive. They did look good. They did look good last weekend. But that is a worst to first huge jump there.
Look, IUP is the most recent dynasty in men's D2 sevens. They beat them. They beat already qualified GVSU. Tell me where I'm wrong.
It's tough to say. I would say maybe I have a couple. It's more omissions, Pat, for me on this list. Where I think UNC Wilmington, last year's national champions, deserve to probably be ranked number one.
Lost in the quarterfinals of an AQ already this year. They didn't even make it to the final four of the only AQ in which they've already played. So I'm with you, but like, what have you done for me lately? You can't lose to Charlotte and Coastal Carolina and be ranked higher than them.
That's totally fair. I think they'll pick it up as we go along here in the spring season.
It's not looking good.
and we'll see. We'll see.
I haven't seen the fatality count from the 7-team round robin and Cowboy sevens, but it may just come down to attrition and who's left from those teams.
That's a good sign for Miami. That seems great. But I also think that and this is not I'm going out not taking a hot take going on a limb. I think IOP will turn it around as well. I think they'll actually come into the tournament as like a dark horse contender, and that might be a good spot for them to be in.
There you go. Maybe just hosting and playing is tough on the same weekend. Well, that does it for our top fives. I'm sure that there's going to be some opinions out there, but I know mine are perfect. I have some questions about Darian's and Zach's, but that's the name of the game. When we come back, we're going to have a little book club. There's been some interesting reading in college rugby going on. We're going to get your take, Zach and Darian, on that when we come back. And then our picks of the week. We got some qualifiers coming up this weekend. We're going to tell you who's going to win them. All right, guys, book club. Anton Forbes-Roberts, who is a National Collegiate Rugby board member and a CRAA parent because his son plays at UCLA, wrote a op-ed that went out on a few different platforms and got a little bit of conversation starting, and it's titled The $10 Million Opportunity in U.S. College Rugby Before the 2031 World Cup. Zach, I'm going to leave it to you to be our large language model here. Just summarize. This is part one of a series. He warned us on that. But summarize Anton's sort of thesis, if you will.
It hurts me that, Pat, that you will call me that, as that is a direct threat to every job that I currently have, a large language model. But I'm just going to keep plowing forward. Basically, Anton's, I think, is arguing, that there is a huge missed opportunity in the U.S. For rugby if we could just kind of streamline college rugby operations, under one kind of leadership banner and have it, filter up to the national level. That there's money to be made. I just think obviously there's $10 million that we're leaving on the table by not kind of consolidating and fixing and fine tuning the collegiate rugby landscape. Where there's not revenue coming in. There's it's looked at the operating budgets for both NCR and some documents from CRAA, and it's determined that there's revenue to be made and it could be more and beneficial for everybody if we were all on the same page.
Yeah, he did a good job of kind of diving into the financial end of it, right? And explaining to you how he came up with the numbers that he did, saying that, this is what NCR's operating budget is. This is what USA Rugby allocates to its development of the grassroots. And if you divide that by the different sectors of the game, then this is what they kind of invest in the college game. And saying that we have about $3 to $4 million in investment now, and that he thinks that we can get that to $10 million in the next 5 years, which sounds fantastic, right, Darian?
Yeah, on paper. On paper, everything sounds really great. The way that I read the article was that, and there are three different governing bodies that he's talking about whenever it comes to college rugby, right? There's NCR, there's CRAA, and then there's NIRA. And I agree that there's a massive issue with the fact that we've got three different places for you to play college rugby, three different options for people to watch, three different options for you to decide on if you want to go to the game. And I feel like it causes this massive division when it comes to us literally trying to do the same thing, which is to generate revenue for the United States and to get the development side.
We need to put this thing in a consumable package so that we can sell it to people so they can understand it. I think the point that Anton made in this op-ed is not only that, but not only are less people understanding rugby and is it very confusing to even explain or talk about, but we're losing money.
I think it's important to take a cold, like, kind of removed look at this and just talk numbers. I think that's a good tactic because there is a lot of emotion attached to this, and I think that's gotten in the way sometimes going forward. There's a lot of history, as Pat, you alluded to, when it comes to down to talk about consolidation and trying to figure out a way forward. But I think agreeing that there is money on the table is like the last thing that anybody agrees on in how the college game should be managed. And I think, and those other differences are important. Like, I think there is not a full consensus on that, like, that money should be reinvested in the college game to make the college game better, which would then kind of, it's a more of a trickle up economics, I think, with college rugby, where you want to make sure that like putting in a consumable package that's streamlined takes investment. That's going to cost money. You're talking about marketing. You're talking about, like, getting these streaming things up and running, getting the game in front of people, and getting people to talk about it in front of people. And that takes investment. I don't think that, not to name names, but I just don't think that's been a priority for USA Rugby.
Right. It is very hard to be able to figure out where the money lies. Where did it end? Where did it come from? And I think America is very different, like you said, Zach, where one of the biggest industries is in college sports alone. I mean, you look at the college football, college basketball, all of those sports make so much more money than what the NFL does or all of those professional leagues. So we're very different in that respect, which to me takes a lot of understanding from World Rugby. And I don't necessarily know if they have that grasp fully on what they can tap into. But having all of the storylines come together, I do think is important. I just don't know if it's doable, is the issue.
All right, let's dive in now with our picks of the week. We have a bunch of qualifiers on the table, starting Women's Premier Cup, Brown Sevens, incredible lineup of teams. We've got, of course, Brown going for a four-peat in Women's Premier Cup, Coast Guard going for another championship in Division II, Northeastern D1 AA champs, AIC third place last year, Premier Cup, great field. I'm going to take the Brown Bears. I know that's crazy, but I'm going to go ahead and take Brown here as my team. They seem like the odds-on favorite. They're just the Goliath, and until David brings out that slingshot, I'm picking them.
Why would it be crazy to go against the possible four-time defending champions? The Brown Bears most definitely will take this tournament.
Yeah, Browns at home. AIC is already qualified. I think it'll be their closest, stiffest competition in this. So Brown Bears to the moon.
All right, there we go. All right, Men's Premier Cup, City Sevens, my tournament, Kansas City. Here we go. Paragon Star. There's a Jumbotron, my silky voice on the public address announcer. Where else would you rather be? Drury, University of Drury, University of Health and Science and Pharmacy, Southern Nazarene, Iowa Central Community College, Wisconsin, Benedictine. They highlight our Premier Cup bracket. Benedictine, Men's Division II. I got a correction. I am still the president of the Black Bucks fan, but I talked about them in a tournament a couple of weeks ago. There's another Benedictine college, and it was that one playing in it, not the Black Monks. So don't hold those results against my Black Monks / Ravens. Here.
No idea there was two of them.
Yes, I as much as I love the Black Monks, I still think it's going to be Southern Nazarene in this one. They're my odds-on favorite. I like the Crimson Storm. They look really competitive down in Yellow Rose Sevens, making it to the final. I think that they're the team to beat.
I'm going to go with Iowa Central. I think out of left field. I like their early stuff so far this season. I think they're always pretty good. They've got a good roster, but I think they take this one.
I think that it's going to rain some pain for the Crimson Storm this week.
I love that. Rain some pain? Golly.
Had to make up for it, I have smart things to say.
Ruck to Rock Sevens, probably the highlight of the Men's Premier Cup or the entire schedule this weekend. Fantastic competition. Wheeling, Queens, Southern Virginia, Walsh, Notre Dame, Rio Grande, Belmont Abbey. Who do you like in this one, Zach?
Belmont Abbey won it last year. I think Belmont Abbey takes it again this year. They have the rugby under their belt. Wheeling, the defending champs, not fully fleshed out yet, not fully big. So we're going to go with the Abbey on this one.
All right, I'll take the Cardinals. You give me a chance to pick Wheeling and pick different than you. I'm going to take that every day of the week. I think they get it smoothed out. Whatever the issues were at Queen's Cup, I think they get it smoothed out and show why they have our odds-on favorites with the best arsenal and firepower in all of College Sevens.
I feel for Dartmouth because they look like they might have had a shot until you looked at the rest of the teams that were on there. But I think that Belmont Abbey might be the one to take this one and run with it. Look, Wheeling, I know is super competitive, but I've got Belmont Abbey really sticking it to them there at Ruck the Rock. So we'll see how that goes.
No one's picking Kutztown or Queens or Notre Dame. You guys gave me a bunch of crap for not putting the Fighting Irish in my top 5, and then none of you guys picked them.
Maybe I should change my...
They already won.
As we're editing, maybe I should just go against it. Okay, I'm going to change my pick. Go ahead and ask me again.
Who's your pick, Darian?
Now that you mentioned it, I think that I'm going to stick, and I'm going to go out on a limb here. Fighting Irish, don't do me dirty. Notre Dame, try it, okay? I know you're watching, and I know that you're content creators out there, and I've got faith. So Wheeling's going to be tough. Everybody else there is actually going to be pretty tough, but I've got faith that you guys can do it. So send it through.
You heard it from Darian. Notre Dame, try it. All right, here we go. And Sevens, men's Division One. Let's go to City Sevens. Still my tournament. I'm trying to skip over myself. In Kansas City, Missouri, Minnesota, Kansas State, Iowa, Nebraska. Iowa Hawkeyes are my pick here. I think Renheimer is the best player in this tournament, in this division. Very outstanding player. He's been at All-Stars the last 2 years. Iowa's starting to stack some tournament results on top of each other. I really like the Hawkeyes in this one.
Can't argue with that. I think Iowa's got the best shot here. You got the best player in the tournament. You're going to have the best chance of winning, I think, 9 times out of 10. We'll go with the Hawkeyes.
Hawkeyes go 3 for 3. I'm going to stick with them to fly high.
All right, there you go. Men's D1 Club, moving on over to Sandman Sevens, hosted by Virginia Tech. I like the Hokies. They're at the CRC every year. They often win their home tournament. We saw them earlier this year down at Sunshine Sevens playing some stiff competition. I think they're going to be steel tested and ready to go. I like the Hokies at home.
I'm going to take Tech as well. Last year's iteration of this tournament, they lost to NC State close, and they lost to UNC Charlotte as well close. I don't see NC State competing if they're, again, as much as this year, so I'm going to go with Tech.
It's going to be hard to go against anybody with this pick here. Tech all the way.
There you go. Men's Division 2, Rock to Rock, their competition there. It's also stacked. We've got UNC Wilmington, Georgetown, East Carolina, Ole Miss, VCU, Coastal Carolina, Mississippi State, Middle Tennessee State, George Mason, UNC Greensboro, Wilmington, Zach. Is this when they finally come alive and show us that they're defending champs?
That's going to be my pick. I mean, you guys were not a fan of my takes on them earlier, but I think they're going to pull together. You can't pick against the Buckinghams, the Maces as well. So, no, let me take that again. Sorry. The Wisemans. There we go.
Wisemans,
yeah. You can't pick against the Buckinghams. You can't pick against the Wisemans in this one. Coastal Carolina might give them a run for their money in this tournament, but I think Wilmington punches their ticket.
Uncle Wilmington, this is your moment. And, whenever you've got the 3 wise men behind you, I think that they've got more than enough arsenal to be able to bring it over the line.
Look, I would like to see Georgetown punch a ticket here. I think the Hoyas could bring some fans to the Maryland Soccerplex, but I'm going to stick with Coastal Carolina. Until the Chanticleers lose, they're my team. So Coastal Carolina going for the men's and women's double in D2. I like that storyline. I'm rooting for it. Chanticleers all the way. And then let's move on down to men's Division 3, our final qualifier of the week. Richmond Sevens. The Spiders already punched their ticket. They're going to be there. Susquehanna, Christendom, Elon, VMI, Radford, William and Mary, Charleston. Who do you like this one, Zach?
I think Richmond wins, but they've already qualified for this year, so I think the bid's going to go to Susquehanna, who have looked really good. I said in Cowboy Sevens, I think they've got a good young core, so look for them to steal that bid here.
I'm going to go with the juggernaut here and say that maybe VMI might be the one to do it.
I got Christendom here. Christendom's baseball team, I'm pretty sure, is being brought back for the security at CRC. The rugby team doesn't want to miss out on that party with the baseball guys. And they're there virtually every year. They do a great job. James Conrad, their coach, they have them up to fit and competitive every single spring 7th season. I like Christendom to qualify here in Richmond. So that'll do it. That's all our picks this week. That's college rugby. Guys, we are getting really close to Selection Saturday. We will see you one more time before then. This has been the College Rugby Show.